Good morning, folks, or good afternoon, depending where you are. Thanks for joining me today. And today's live stream is all about updates in Capture One Pro. So that's the current release we're on is 16.4. So more on that in a second. And we're also going to talk about Capture One Studio, which is a new product which came out last week as well. So we'll cover off what's new in Pro and then talk about what additional things are in Capture One Studio and a bit more about that. So hello to those of you who have joined on YouTube and LinkedIn. If you want to ask a question, you're more than welcome. So if you put a question in the comments, that will come straight through to me as well. If you're in our live streaming room, then you can ask a question in the Q&A tab, and then that will come through to myself, but more than likely get picked up by Helen or Victor, who are also hanging out as well. So you should have, whoops, that was a USB cable dropping on the floor. So let's pick that up before I trash it with my chair. Helen and Victor, who are also here to answer your questions too. So let's get started. So let's go find Capture One. And then, as I said, just for clarity, I am on Capture One 16.4.2 actually. And you might be wondering, in the space of a week, why did you have two further updates? Well, the first one was to support a couple of new Fujifilm cameras, which was the GFX 100S2 and also the XT50, correct me if I'm wrong, which came out last week as well. And there was also a tiny bug which affected less than 100 people with regards to an information screen popping up, and we fixed that. So that's why we're already on a couple of revisions as well. All right, so plan is today to talk about what's new in Capture One Pro, first of all, and then we'll move on to Capture One Studio. So I am running, again, just for clarity, I am running the Studio version. So you can see it says Capture One Studio just at the top here. To be honest, the differences will be fine for you to spot if you're working on Capture One Pro. You'll see down here there's a couple of studio specific tools, and you know they're studio specific because they have studio marked next to them. The only different thing that we're gonna worry about today a little bit is that in Studio there's an additional tool called AI Crop, and then we also have our traditional crop tool here. So I didn't have to switch between Pro and Studio, and you wouldn't really want to watch me typing in license keys and all that kind of other stuff. I took a screenshot of how Capture One Pro looks, and I'm going to press the wrong button here. Nope, there's the right button. So you can see on your screen here, that is how the crop tool will look in Capture One Pro. So you'll see here it has an additional set as reference and apply reference, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And that is exactly the same as these two buttons here in Capture One Studio. So if you're running Pro, your crop tool is going to change and look like this with a couple of new AI crop features. So keep an eye out for that as well. All right. So what are we going to talk about first? So we are going to talk about exactly that, AI cropping. So we've got a few pictures here. How does this work? Works on either face recognition or subject recognition. So we'll run the AI crop on this set, and then we'll also run it on some products as well, so you can see the difference. So let's grab, I don't know, let's try aspect ratio of 3:4. Let's grab my crop cursor tool up here in the top, and then I'm going to put a crop on this subject like so, and we're going to say set as reference. So what happens is the aspect ratio is remembered, but the size is going to be dynamic, and its position is going to be dynamic based on, in this case, recognizing the face in the subject. So if I shift select these other four images and then hit the apply reference like so, then it's going to get bounced across to those other pictures. So now if I hide the crop, so if you look at our three pictures here like so, you can see the crop has moved around, and the size is varying a little bit as well. But the goal is, if we come off the crop tool, that the head, in this case, because Capture One would have detected there's a face in the image, is kept at the same relative size and position in all of the crops. So that's the clue with this one. So it's aiming to keep the face in the same position and size. So you can see if we bring the crop tool back up that the crop has had to move around to accommodate for that. So that's different to just copy and pasting the same crop across, because if you would do that, it would be exactly the same size and it would be in exactly the same position. So this is why it's very different than just a basic copy and paste. So let's try that on something a bit different. Let's go for an object. Same deal before, let's just stick with the same aspect ratio, why not? Let's do it on the first one, that makes more sense. By the way, if you hadn't spotted this, if you just want to reset the crop, then you can do so. That was added a little while back, but it's easy to miss. So resetting the crop and resetting everything except composition. So that's very handy. Okay, sorry, slight digression. Let's crop around our handbag here. So I'm going to go in a bit tighter and we're going to set that as the reference. And we're going to shift select these and then apply that reference like so. Now this is a bit more obvious than the first example. We can see that, okay, whilst the aspect ratio is the same, the crop has actually changed size quite a bit. But if we hide the crop tool, you can see they're all sitting in pretty much bang on exactly the same position and relative size as well. Jan has read the future or seen the future. Can the AI crop tool keep the crop while capturing? Yes, and we will demo that as well. So I've got a very small laughable setup to the right of me, but you can see how that works. And I've got some BTS video of it working in a proper environment as well. So we will take a look at that. Okay, so that's exciting stuff for AI crop in Pro. Tethering, yes, we will have a look at that as well. And then what we do is, once we've finished covering off Pro stuff, little sneak peek, we'll look at the additional tools available in Studio. Before we get to that, whilst we're on the subject of tethering, there's a few improvements to Capture One Pro and Studio based on that. So let me just plug in this USB cable and try not to knock over a bunch of stuff on the desk. And find the end of this USB cable. So I've got a Sony A7R Mark IV here, just as an example. And we're going to plug that in, and you can see that pop up in there. Now, first of all, if you're a Sony user, hands up. There's a couple of changes. You might have been frustrated by the fact that you could not directly pick a shutter speed or an aperture in the interface. You could only go plus or minus. So thanks to a couple of new tools which Sony have introduced, we can now give you that option. Same for aperture, same for ISO as well. If you are running Canon and Nikon or Sony, then you've also got this really nice little option here. So if you look at this item here, just in the right of the camera control panel, if we click on that, there's a number of different options of deciding what format to send where. So for example, right now this is set to only send a raw file from the camera to the computer. But if I wanted to also save a raw file onto the card, then I could do so as well. Or in this case, sorry, I selected the wrong one. We can do JPEG and RAW, or we could do RAW and RAW, or we could do JPEG to the computer and RAW to the card, and so on. So you've got loads of flexibility over what you can send to camera and to Capture One, which is really nice. So that's on Sony, and that's also on Canon and Nikon currently. Now, if you're asking why can I not do it on my other manufacturers, all the manufacturers operate a little bit differently in terms of their tethering protocols. So there's a limit to what we can do, but obviously we try to keep as much parity as possible based on the tools available to us. Okay, so that's file destination selection and those changes to tethering. Oh, also for Fuji customers, We've improved some of the interaction with Fuji when tethering. That means better live view and a few of the other camera settings that you can make. I'm going to hook up a Fuji when we look at AI crop tethering, so we can talk about that in slightly more detail as well. Yes, you can grab a trial of Studio, no problem at all. So yep, the trial does include the Studio functionality. And Robert was asking, how does the crop tool work on landscapes? Well, it wholly depends on subject detection. Now, often in a landscape, you won't have a line of 10 identical landscapes unless you're doing a time lapse or something like that. And it really depends if there's a subject in there which the AI could detect. So my initial gut answer would be probably not. I don't know if it's going to be useful, but it's so simple and fast to try. You could test it yourself. Okay, what else is new in Pro? Let's go to AI masking side of things. So you've probably all been completely aware, let's just reset all of that gubbins. Been aware that AI masking is one of the most popular features we've introduced in the past few years. Already it's had some improvements and so forth, and in this release it gets a pretty big performance boost. So that's mainly when you're creating these subject and background masks. So if I hit subject, depending on your computer specification and so forth, you'll find that generate much faster. Let's hit background as well, bang, straight away. So really speedy. So up to around 10 times faster, I think the actual figure is, but it's going to vary based on what computer you're running, how many megapixels you're dealing with, and so on. But in simple English, considerably quicker. Same goes if you're running, like subject and background on a batch of images. So if I say subject, we're masking 3 variants like so. That's obviously a lot quicker to do than it was, before. So definitely give that a try out. Let's just reset this one and we talk about the AI select brush. So the AI select brush allows you to hover over the picture and just select different areas of the image or draw a box around something like so. So the speed of that is also much improved. Now you might blink and you miss it. So let's just go to this one and reset everything. So what happens is when we go to a new image, Capture One will have to calculate and prepare the mask. So pretty much that was, you can see how instant it is. Let's go to, I'm trying to show you what I mean because it's happening much faster that you blink and you miss it. So I'm going to pick the AI brush up here. Now if you look very quickly, you'll see a preparing AI mask banner pop up. Oh, so it's actually too quick to show. So you might see a little banner pop up that says preparing AI mask, which would take a few seconds to calculate the mask potential on the image. Now it's almost instantaneous. Now if I zoom in to 100%, oh, you just saw it there. So when we change to a different resolution, I'll zoom in again, then you saw preparing AI mask popped up. So now I'm selecting teeth as an example. So that part is just really super quick as well. Now for clarity, I'm not running the latest Mac Studio, etc. Is this computer. So I'm running a MacBook Pro 2021 M1 Max. So it's not the latest and greatest, but it is significantly faster. We did consider actually removing the preparing AI mask banner that pops up, but it's still useful if you're perhaps running an older machine where it does need, half a second to calculate, so something that's going on. Another final UI change, let's just make another layer. So if I just pop over here, let's say we wanted to just quickly mask this bit of the outfit. If I click, you'll see it momentarily blink. So if I just click here, you'll get a little feedback so you know that you did actually press and you did actually create a mask. So a slight UI change there. Otherwise, just as brilliant as it was before, now considerably faster. Yes, Lee, I'm pretty sure it includes a trial, but either way, if you go to the App Store and go for Capture One Mobile, part of that gives you a 7-day trial anyway. So you will be able to try it out, Capture One Mobile, if you wish. Good, what's the word? Confirmation from Pavel. Still need some time, but it is faster and the banner is useful. Yes, so you know something is happening. But on faster computers, you might not even see it, which is good. So faster AI masking, just make sure I hadn't missed anything. No, that's good. So let's move on. Very minor thing, but useful to know it's there. So if you're copying and applying adjustments, so we've got copy, we wanted to apply to these as an example. If you copy first and you want to take some things away, then you can go in here and this little down arrow gives you access to the Adjustments Clipboard. Adjustments Clipboard. So that prevents you having to go away, navigate over here and then take off or add on certain things that you do or don't want. So fast access to the Adjustments Clipboard up here in the top right. So nice little shortcut add on there as well. Okay, let's talk about Capture One Studio. So in summary, for Capture One Pro, we've got the AI crop, which will basically gives you these controls here, faster AI masking, improvements to tethering that we spoke about, and that speedy access to the Adjustments Clipboard, and a couple of other minor things which you can also read about on our release notes. So I'll point you where you can find more resources as well. Capture One Studio, right. So with Capture One Studio, we've split up the product. So you have Capture One Pro and then we have Capture One Studio, which has some additional tools pretty much focused around workflows within the studio. So if you're not working in the studio, you'll probably find them much less useful. So all the things that we've added are for those workflows and also for some more high-level stuff like working in e-commerce and so on. So let's have a look what's a bit different. So first of all, let's go back to our AI crop, and then we'll talk about the differences, come off AI masking now, with this particular tool. So like AI crop that you've seen already, this does the same thing. So it's using facial recognition or subject recognition to then control how you're going to crop, but you just get a few more additional options and the ability to save presets. And you'll see the UI here looks, quite somewhat different. So let's take this example. I'm going to go for a, let's go for, make sure I've got the right notes up. Let's go for something different. Let's go for 2x3 as opposed to the other ones. I'm going to crop around my subject here. Now, if I turn this on, show crop rules, like so, then we get some additional information. So this is what I mean about subject detection. So like you saw with AI masking, it would pick out the subject, and now we can see these lines here represent the top and the bottom of my subject, and this dotted line shows me the center line of my subject. Now it's centered here because obviously her leg is sticking out here, so this is the right hand side, this will be the left, so that's pretty much bang on the center. Obviously we can move alignment around like so, and you can see there's the edge of the subject, there's the other edge of the subject, but let's go for the center. Up the top here we've got some constraints. So by choosing this one, I can have some control over my margins at top and bottom, but left and right would be dynamic. Or opposite, we can have fixed margins on the left and right, and the top and bottom is dynamic. This way we've got some control all the way around, but the aspect ratio might move depending on the subject. And then the fourth option is for working with wider and tall subjects mixed together. But let's go for this one. We've set 2x3. So let's say I want to keep, I don't know, like 6% at the bottom. So if I go in here and punch in 6, if I want to do accurate figures, I can do so. And now I can set this as my reference. Shift select the other pictures like so, and then say apply. And now that's kept a nice 6% across. Now, as you can see, the crop has had to move up and down and change size slightly. to be able to keep the subject in the same relative position. So if we just come off the crop tool for a second and hide our crop rules, you can see that horizon line actually is pretty bang on and stable in the middle. So obviously you can change your alignment, you can change your constraints, but this gives you lots of accurate ability to really shape your crop. Also, we can save those as a preference. So if you've got various different style guides that you need to set up, depending whether you're doing full body shots like this, headshots, portraits, other things, then we can easily recall different crop rules. So I made one earlier, which is slightly different, that looks like this, aiming to keep 20% below the subject and so forth. So you can always pull up those different presets. Okay, we also have a face tab. So let's just try a bunch of different pictures like so. This pretty much does a similar thing to what you saw earlier with the auto tab. But the ability we have here, we can actually see the detected faces. So let's go for 4x5, why not? I'm going to crop this one down like so. Same as before, set this as a reference, shift select my other pictures and say apply like so, and hey presto, we have a nice cropping situation going on, keeping the face in the same size and relative position. The other difference with Pro, of course, you can physically select I'm working with the subject or I'm working with the face. Capture One Pro gives you this ability which will just auto detect what is going on. So you've got those additional subject options. Fantastic. All right, let's talk about tethering, I would say. So I've got a comedy setup on the right here. You'll see why it's comedy in a second. And then I'll show you a video of a proper studio so you can see how it's how it's working. All right, let's close this down. I'm just going to make a new session. So let's call this AI Crop PM and open this up. And we're going to connect our camera. So earlier you saw me connect a Sony, so this time we're going to fire up this Fuji camera like so, and then show you exactly what I mean. So we've got our camera connected. Let's just take a quick shot. I just want to make sure I don't have any existing crops hanging around on this picture. Yes, I do. So let's reset all of that. So we've got our shot, and let's say we want to set up some specific rules and then have that work as we shoot tethered. So the first thing we need to do is make sure we've got this tool visible, and we're going to set up our crop. So let's go for a similar thing again. We turn on our crop rules so we can see what we're doing. Let's constrain top and bottom, and let's go for, yeah, let's stick with that. Let's have 20% at the bottom like so. So I'm going to set that as my reference and make sure apply AI crop is checked on. So now if we continue to shoot like so, oh, that one might have been out of focus. Then those pictures are going to come in and that crop is just following along nicely and keeping that 20%. That one was out of focus. There, David. All right, so if I pull back a little bit. So let's make my subject a bit smaller and shoot. Like so, you see now the crop has had to adjust to keep the same size relative shape of my subject and keep that in place. So if I shift select these three images, hide the crop so we can just see the final image, they look pretty much identical, right? But if we bring the crop back up, you can see the crop is vastly different to number 3. Number 1 and 2 I shot pretty similar, but that third one is very different. If we hide our crop rules for a minute and we just cycle through these, so that's the first shot I took, there's the second, and there's the third. So 2 and 3, they were a pretty different distance, but it's actually spot on in terms of that size and shaping. Now it doesn't have to be the same product, so let's take out Penny and put in, who should we have? Let's go for Guthrapali. Top marks if you know why I'm saying all these names. Guthrapali is a bit drunk, so let's put him in. Go for a shot. like so. And straight away, if we just cycle between these two, absolutely spot on. But again, two very different crops. If I just put the camera down, bring these two up side by side, show you the crops, two completely different crops, but the net result is that my subject maintains the same shape, position, image to image. I think that's pretty cool, and it certainly means that you can shoot, you know, freehand replacing products like that, or if you're shooting a bunch of portraits, different people or whatever, then you're always going to nail that crop. Yes, you might have to do a tiny adjustment to a couple of them, but it's going to be much, much faster. Good question with from Jan, exactly. If you shoot not straight with a bit of an angle, will this miss a shot? So currently rotation is not included, but potentially it actually a thought that came up from someone else this morning, if you could rotate as well. So currently it can't, but who knows in the future. Remember, this is the first iteration of AI crop, and it's pretty damn impressive. So we could be, you know, potentially able to do other awesome things with AI crop as well. All right, let's have a look at the next thing. What is the next thing? Checks notes. Oh yeah, show you the video. That's right. So yeah, this was the, you know, laughable comedy setup, but let's see how this looks in a proper studio. All right, so I'm going to play you a little bit of BTS, and you might hear some background noise, but I can talk over the top of it as well. So here's Gabia shooting, so she's taking pictures. The two monitors just above me here. On the left-hand side, you can see the full image, and on the right-hand side is the auto crop in action. So you see it's doing a pretty stellar job of actually keeping her head in exactly the same position and cropping nicely. At the start of the video, which I'll rewind as well, so let's go back to the start, you can see there's a couple of shots that actually come in landscape, right, coming up now, and it's also cropped as well. So it works really, really nicely. So that's how it works in a proper studio, not my comedy setup here as well. Now, of course, it's not a fixed crop. If you want to edit it, adjust it, and anything else, then you can also do so. Nice one. All right. Terrence says, big bang. Yeah, exactly. Romero says, sorry for the question. This AI crop is only available on Studio. No, it's available in Capture One Pro as well. So it's just a smaller feature set, but you can still shoot next capture adjustments as well. So if you've set your reference crop in this tool panel, which is how it will look in Capture One Pro, remember it looks like this. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing the right screen. So if you've set up your reference in Capture One Pro, this is how it will look. You can still shoot tethered and do so. So it works, you know, super brilliantly. All right, okay, moving on. Client viewers. So again, I'll be able to demonstrate this, but I've also got a BTS video which actually shows it better as well. Oh, sorry, I missed a question here from Anthony. Is there a potential of adding crop lines with an oval for face size for headshots? This is to bypass the AI crop. This would naturally be shot on a tripod. As I said, Anthony, this is V1, so there's all kinds of possible things that we could do. If you go to our community, I'll paste the link in at the end so we don't slow the flow down. But on our community page, there is a section where you can put ideas in to improve Capture One. And anything like this for AI crop, things that you're going to see coming up in a second, would be really useful for you to add those. Nice one. All right, let's move on. So client viewers, what's client viewers all about? Shall we switch to a different session? Yes. So let me open up this one for a second. So client viewers, if we look in the window menu, and you'll find a new option here, which gives you the ability to extend what people in your studio are seeing on 3 further monitors. So first of all, you have to connect up to, don't have to do 3, up to 3 additional monitors to your computer if it can support it. And then what you can do is have, let's turn this blinding light off, it's okay. And then what you can do is display 3 additional views on these extra monitors. So the first mode we can have is pin selected. So I'm going to click on that. Now that's opened up this window here. So what it allows me to do is go to any image, right click and say pin to client viewer A. So I'm working with A, and that will pin that particular image to it, but that's now locked on that display, as you can see. So I'm scrolling through other pictures, but that view is pinned on that particular monitor. Okay. So it's very good if you're working with a bunch of people in a studio, the goal being to keep them away from your computer, your monitor, your capture station, so that you can say, I'd love you to have a look at this image. I'm going to send that to monitor A over there. So that's the purpose of this one. Now we've also got client viewer B. Let's say that's going to be follow selected. So now we've got client viewer B. Obviously these would be on different monitors, but I can only show you the one monitor in this situation. If we go to the shots, they simply show what's selected in Capture One, like so. Whereas the pinned one is still locked on that image we were looking at further. Now also you'll see, let's go to one where it's a bit easier to see, it'll tell you, okay, this image is currently on viewer B. Where's our pinned one? That one was currently on viewer A. Well, let's just pin this one as an example. Pin to client viewer. Now that says it's on A and B. This one is on A and this one is on B. Now the third one, which is great for a photographer confidence monitor or a model confidence monitor, is just to follow the capture. So whatever gets captured, that will pop up on the monitor. And as I said, I've got a video of a proper studio with all this in action, so you can see exactly what's going on. So let's roll that. Just need to press the right button, which would be this one. So first of all, I'm going to pause it and we're going to tour it with me, my head up here. So I'm going to put myself in Gabby's position. So she's shooting, and obviously the monitor just to the left of her. It's very difficult when you're back to front. So this is the confidence monitor, if you want to call it. So that's just showing that last mode we said, which is the last capture taken. Now the Digitech over here, she's obviously seeing and in control of who is seeing what. And we've got 2 clients down here, just underneath me. They are looking at also the last capture, but to be honest, the Digitech could be pinning or showing anything that they wanted to. Doesn't have to be, you know, the same image exactly as we were speaking about. And if you're curious, let's put me away, what this iPad is down here and what that's doing, we're going to talk about that next. So let's just play this video out so you can see as Gabby's shooting, those images are popping up straight away, like so. And there's one last thing I need to tell you about this once this video has finished. But you can see that working in action. Really nice to have that studio situation where clients are over here and not standing behind Digitech over here and getting in her way and touching her screen and just being a general pain. So having it this way keeps these people out the way and then they can see what's going on. Nice one. All right, let's bring Capture One back up. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about this one. So let's just pin this guy to client viewer A, like so. Where did you go? There we go, client viewer. The client viewers are like a pure output. So they don't show any crop marks or anything like that. So if I crop this image, you can see it's updating straight away. So they're not seeing any of the Capture One gubbins or tools that are showing around. They're simply seeing a nice clear final image like so. So none of the additional stuff, which is exactly how it should be. Final thing to make using these a little bit easier is if we look in Edit Keyboard Shortcuts, move you out of the way, under Window, Client Viewers, you can set up shortcuts for each of those viewers for each of those modes. So client viewer A, I've got that set to Control Shift 5 as an example, so that will pin selected onto client viewer A, but you can set up different shortcuts for each one. The kind of high level way to operate that, which makes it a little bit easier, is to use something like a Stream Deck. If you've used a Stream Deck before, Digitex know it fairly well. That's just a keypad which just has a number of buttons on it, which you can configure and put different icons on, so you can just press buttons to send images to the client viewers that you wish to have. But you can just drive it through keyboard shortcuts or using the menu system as we spoke about as well. But that's a really nice additional feature. Gustavo is saying, does it connect via Capture Pilot? No, we are going to talk about Capture Pilot's replacement in a second. Those are monitors which are simply hooked up by HDMI or wireless HDMI. I'm not sure what we had in that studio. Let me have a look. So yeah, you can see this monitor is cabled up, the one just to the front middle, that's cabled up to the main station, and so is the monitor next to photographer Gabby, is cabled up to the station as well. But you can use something like Holyland transmitters, which are wireless. You can put battery packs on the monitors now, so you can have a full mobile solution and pushing those monitors around, you know, way easier than it was ever possible before. Anthony was asking, can we have more than one image on the client viewer for comparison? No, currently it's only one, but as I said, this is a V1 implementation. So if you have cool ideas like that, we'd love to hear about them as well. There's also discussions we've had about improving the interface on Capture One's end to make it easier to put images on different viewers. So there's all kinds of stuff that could happen with this and get better and better. But currently it's just those one images. Okay, just checking questions over here. Let's see. Helen and Victor are doing a great job answering all those questions. Remember, if you've got a question in the live streaming room, pop it in the Q&A tab, because otherwise it might get mixed up, you know, with all the chat stuff that's flying around as well. Question on AI crop that came in as well. Does AI crop only recognize human faces? Does it recognize wildlife faces and adjust accordingly? It's built for human faces. So funnily enough, if we open this and we turn on faces, show detected faces, it will actually detect a Lego figure. But in terms of wildlife, I haven't actually seen it detect that reliably. So I would say right now it's built for human interaction and apparently Lego figures. But I guess Lego figures have that pretty specific 2 eyes, mouth in that orientation. Wildlife is a little bit different. So currently think of it for human interaction only. Right, let's go back to that one again, and we will talk about Capture One Live for Studio. So down here we need to have this tool open. Let's put away Next Capture Adjustments and look at Live for Studio. So you might be aware we have Capture One Live, which is all cloud and internet based. So that involves uploading images to the Capture One cloud, which anyone can view anywhere in the world, but it does require an internet connection. So up here in my Share Online box, no I don't, in my Share Online box, I can decide to share any collection to the internet, and then via a simple link, anyone can then go and view it anywhere in the world. But as I said, that does require an internet connection. Now, quite often working in a studio, it's kind of inefficient to upload images to a cloud just for someone in the same room to then look at them. So having a local solution is what we've got with Capture One Live for Studio. So let's just open up this iPad. We can have a look at this in a second. So first of all, in this tool here, and this is a studio feature only, we have to decide what we're going to share. So I'm going to share the capture folder, and we're going to start sharing. Now in the Capture One Live application, let's bring this up for you. You can see this here. So this is an actual app, Capture One Live. You can see the icon down there. So that comes with Capture One Studio. And you'll see I've shared this collection. If I just stop sharing that collection for a second, stop sharing like so, you'll see it will disappear from the iPad. See no projects found. If we start sharing like so, then now that's popped up. So as soon as I tap on this, that's going to show me the contents of that collection that I'm sharing like so. Simples. Now the nice thing is, for speed and efficiency, Capture One is only sharing low resolution shots like so. So if I go into a picture like this, I'm still looking at the low resolution. If I then decide to double tap to zoom into 100%, Capture One will then ask for the high resolution so we can see it in all its glory like so. Double tap to zoom out again. Let's just go back. I'm going to bring up the same image in Capture One, because you can probably guess what I'm going to show is the ability, let's bring this view back for you, the ability to obviously tag and star rate as a collaborator as well. So we're looking at the same shot. If I hit this with 5 stars, you can see down here in Capture One, we've got our 5-star rating just showing under the image, and we can hit that with a color tag, and that's color tagged in Capture One too. So performance is, well, this is all about performance. It's working really, really fast. The only prerequisite must be that this, your iPad, and your capture station must be on the same network. So I'm connected wirelessly with this. My computer running Capture One is hardwired, but obviously running on the same network, they can talk to each other. I mean, for ultimate speed and of course security, then you can bring along your own wireless router to connect everything up. You can of course use any network that could be existing in any studio, but of course if you're in a studio building with 12 studios with 100 people all using the network, then it might not be as fast performing because of traffic and so on. But this is working really nicely, as you can see. Now you can dynamically switch collection. So let's say I switch to my, just show you in the library tool, my green tag smart album. So I'm going to switch to green tags only, and straight away you'll see Capture One Live for Studio update and only show me the green tag images like so. So if I do the same collection over here, and then let's just change the tag of this shot. So let's take this just to no tag. Straight away you'll see it will disappear from this collection as well. So it's nice and fast, nice and dynamic, working great. The last option you'll see up here on the top is the follow button. So if you say follow, then that simply means it will follow the captures in Capture One. So I'll show you a video again in a second of how to do so, but that would just simply keep up with the tethered capture, can't speak. Gustavo says, can you make a video how to connect a local network using Wi-Fi? There used to be the ability with Macs to make what's called a peer-to-peer network, where you could connect direct. They've sort of hidden it now. You can do it, but I never found it personally very reliable. The best option is just to grab yourself a small, cheap, very basic Wi-Fi router, powered by USB-C or something like that, and then you've got your own dedicated network that you can run that with. Using the peer-to-peer connection is just not super reliable, and as I said, now it's hidden if you're working on a Mac anyway. Jan says there'll be less bug with Capture Pilot with like loss of connection. Yeah, for those of you who have experienced Capture Pilot, that's a fairly old application. This is completely rewritten from the ground up, even though the tool here looks a little bit similar. There's nothing that is in Capture Pilot that is in this. So it's completely rewritten for performance, stability, maintaining connection, and so on and so forth. So yeah, and you'll find it a much better experience. Stephen was asking a question over here about photographing team members for headshots, and I wanted to share their pictures. Then that would be a great Capture One Live solution. which is working over the internet. So this way, of course, you can share just collections of people to their email with all the access rights or not that you want to give them. So Stephen, just look up Capture One Live. Lindsay is saying we use a portable Wi-Fi router for camera, computer and iPad only. Works great. Yes, you don't need to spend a bunch of money on something super high level. I've hotspotted my phone and it works great. I've got a little 4G tiny travel router, battery powered, works great off of that. So don't go out and blow $1,000 on the most amazing mobile router you can find. It's not really necessary. Just grab something small and pocketable with a battery if you wish, and it works really nicely. Gustavo says, can you send a link? My one that I have is a TP-Link. It's not available anymore, but it's made by TP-Link. But there's, pick any brand. Don't overthink it. Just get something that is small, pocketable. You don't need like tons of Wi-Fi 6 bandwidth or any of that stuff. Don't overthink it. Just get something that works for you. Right. Last couple of things. Video. That's what I was going to show you. Like so. So now you can see, is that the right one? Yeah, no, client viewers. Yeah, so just again, you can see the clients just above me. They're working off Capture One Live on the iPad. They can scroll through, they can do their ratings and color tags and so forth. Over here next to the Digi Capture Station, there's another iPad running, of course. And they've got independent control as well. There's no limit to the number of iPads you can have connected. Technically, your Apple ID limits you to downloading an app 10 times, but no one's going to rock up to a studio owning 10 iPads. So if you've got 50 people in the studio with 50 iPads, they could all connect with ease. So yeah, there's no limit in that respect. Right. Back to Capture One. So that was Capture One Live for Studio. Last couple of little things to talk about. Let's go back to all images for a second. Let's tuck away you out the way for a second. So compare variants. If you don't know what a compare variant is, it allows you to right click on an image or use a shortcut and lock that to the main viewer. And now as you cycle through other pictures, that will be locked like so. Oh, let's turn off face detection so we don't see that. That's available in Capture One Pro, always has been. In Capture One Studio, we can then add an additional compare variant. So we can lock additionals to the screen like so, and then we can add more compare variants and so on. You get the idea. So I think the maximum is you can have 12 images in the viewer, so you can add up to 11 compare variants, and then to get rid of them you just need to right click and say clear. And as I said, it's much easier to do this with a shortcut as well. So if you want to add a shortcut, go to Edit Keyboard Shortcuts, look at Compare, and then you've got Set to Compare and Clear Compare, like so. So yeah, much easier driving that with shortcuts than right-clicking all over the place. So that's additional too. Other things that are not new tools, but they're new to Capture One Studio. If you've never worked in an e-com studio, you probably never would have heard of the existence of Capture One Enterprise, but that's a product which has been around for quite some years now, which was purely driven for e-commerce applications. Capture One Studio is obviously designed partly for e-commerce, but partly for anyone who has these high-level workflows working in a studio. But there are some legacy tools from Enterprise like guides, where you can set up much more precise values. So I've got the ability to punch in exact values in percentage, pixels, inches, centimeters, and so forth. Or I can just drag them where I want. I can add unlimited number of guides, as you can see, and you've got the options here as well. So you can set up very specific style guides and save those as a preset, which you can recall at any point as well. There is also some additional next capture tools. So we've got next capture metadata, so that will add metadata into an image as you shoot, adding keywords to an image as you shoot, and also a backup system, which allows you to back up new captures to a location of your choice. So that would just simply back up the raw files. So pick your location, turn it on, and then those images will be copied in duality to another location. And finally, a couple of things for clumsy people like me. If you look in window here, you can lock certain things down in Capture One. So for example, if we wanted to lock guides, camera settings and so on, we can do so. So now you can see my camera settings are locked, so nobody can change that, which is very useful. You can go one stage further and actually set a pin as well. So if you want to lock down Capture One and make sure no one changes anything, then you can do so as well. Great. Let's mop up the last few questions and we'll talk about where to find Capture One Studio and download it in the trial and all those kinds of things. Okay, where's my cursor gone? Over here. Right. Blazar says a router can create a network without an internet. Yes, exactly. So just because it's not connected to the internet doesn't mean other devices aren't talking to each other. So don't worry if something isn't connected to the internet, it still works just fine. If you have an all-in-one subscription, Anthony, your subscription won't change. You can go in and then log into your account and then you can see what the upgrade price is to go to Capture One Studio, because Studio is a different product. So I mentioned, you said you came in a bit late, so you might not have heard that. We have Capture One Pro and we have Capture One Studio with these additional tools that we talked about. So I hope that makes sense. How do you get Live for Studio to show up on a mobile device? It's an application, Unbox. So you just need to go to the App Store and look for Live for Studio and you can download it and away you go. So simple as that. So it's not web-based or anything like that. Currently, it's an application on your iPad. We will look to adding it to iPhone and other things in the future if there's demand for it, of course. Questions over here. Lindsay was saying if we have a subscription to Enterprise, will you be able to use Studio? Yeah, good question. Yes, yeah, you've got the Enterprise functionality, so that those features that you saw are also in that. Just checking these questions. No, I think Victor and Helen have done an amazing job seeing all those things. So I think we're pretty much covered. Yeah, so what I was saying, if you go to products, Capture One, like so, you can read about Pro, Studio, Capture One Mobile, Capture One Live, Live for Studio and everything. So if we go into Studio, you can read about all the different things that we spoke about. If you go into your account, you'll be able to see your options for upgrading to Studio if you wish. If you look on the pricing page, then you'll be able to see very clearly what's going on between buying a license, subscribing to Pro, taking Pro with our mobile application and Capture One Live, or Studio, which is subscription only and also has all the features that we spoke about. If there's a lot of you, so for teams, so 5, 10, 15 people, then you can inquire about options for that as well, for specific packages, whether you've got 5 people, 10 people, 50 people, and so on and so forth. You say, can you show a link for Live for Studio? Yeah, so if you go into Studio on the product page, scroll down a bit, then you've got read more like so, and then that gives you all the information on Live for Studio. So in captureone.com. Go to products, go to Studio, scroll down, it's the first thing that's up there. Yeah, Live for Studio is currently only on iPad, but we'll also add it to an iPhone soon, as far as I know. So shouldn't be too tricky to bring that over as well. Nice one. I think that dispenses with today's. How are we doing for time? Pretty much bang on time. This went straight to YouTube as well. So of course, if you want to watch back the recording, you can do so. And then this way, you can always catch up with some of the features. Good question from Jasmine. All the clients can download the app. Why did you choose to replace Pilot with a paid app? So Live for Studio, the app that you need on your iPad, is not paid for. So if you've got a stylist in the studio, a makeup artist or something like that, they can just go ahead and download it. So because you're controlling from Capture One Studio exactly what is being shown. So they can just go ahead and download that app so that they won't have to pay anything. Don't worry about that. You could have 50 people in the studio and they could all go ahead and download that application. You're simply controlling what gets sent to anyone on that network running that application. So Jasmine, no one has to pay for that app, okay? Obviously you're buying Capture One Pro for Capture One Studio, but Live is not needed. Or not needed to pay for, I should say. Nice one. There was a couple of questions about workspaces. I'm not sure entirely what the context was. You can see I've got way too many workspaces. These are various backups. The default workspace is just probably close to what I'm running. I changed my workspace a little bit, so you can see I've got my studio workspace, which brings up my next capture adjustment. So I remember to see if this is turned on. But the tip is always, of course, to save your workspace, so that you can always return to it and there's nothing to stop you having more than one workspace. Okay, in the future, let's press the right button. My graphics have disappeared, so I'm doing it by text. There we go. If you scan that QR code, that will take you to our live streams page, so you can keep up to date with what's happening in the future. We'll get some more up there for coming up in June. Can't believe it's June already. Or you can go to bit.ly/c1_livestreams and that will take you to the same page. If you follow that page, it means whenever I add something new, you'll get a notification and you will be able to instantly sign up, which I'm sure you want to do. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you're excited about those new features. Go ahead and download the trial. Once again, if you want to do that, you can simply navigate to captureone.com and just hit download free trial up in the top right hand corner, and then you can go ahead and try it out. So thanks for joining me again today. Enjoy your weekend when it comes and see you all soon. Take care.